got to bring me out and push another button. Push a button. We're going to push a button, and we're going to push another button right here. And here we go. Hello, Christina.
Hi. What's going on?
Not much. Well, welcome to Southern Fried Paranormal.
Why, thank you.
You were talking about where I am. I am actually, if you look on the map of Arkansas, Star City is about halfway between Pine Bluff and Monticello, Arkansas. I'm also very close to the Bayou Bartholomew. So yes, I'm very close to Bayou country. In fact, I'm about as far in as you can get. Considering, by the way, the bird flies, I'm only about a half mile away from the bayou, which is the longest bayou on the planet. And used to have steamboats running up in that, smaller steamboats, not the
Do you
big
have
river
crawfish?
We actually have a restaurant here that serves crawfish. They
I love
specialize in that.
I'm a fan.
You would like it down here because I could get up right now. I could say good night to you, go put a pair of shoes on, jump in the car, and going the speed limit. I could be standing on Bourbon Street, including parking in the car, in 6 hours.
Nice.
That's going to speed limit. You know what kind of car I got? A big old Hemi engine, especially at night in a black car. I could probably get down there in 5 if I wanted to really bad.
Oh yeah, I feel you. My car's purple, so I feel the pain.
You can see me coming a mile away during the day, but at nighttime, Of course, it's not as bad as old Mustang 2 I had back in the 70s. I set the record from Columbus, Georgia to Savannah, Georgia. One night, I was packed up the first wife, and we left Columbus about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And I was in Savannah. If you look at they're slam across Georgia. I had to cross the entire state of Georgia, and I was doing 130, 140 miles an hour through the countryside. And what I did, I had big driving lights, illegal actually, on the street, on the front bumper, and had a switch to where I could turn them on when I wanted to, which meant I could click off the lights. And I was buzzing through a town, and I saw a local constable sitting there at an intersection. And I busted through the town. I was gone from my town in seconds. I was out of his jurisdiction almost before he could react. And I said, okay, if he's going to get me for 70 miles an hour, I'm not going to sit here and wait on him. So I took off. I accelerated. So next thing you know, I'm going out a 2-lane road at 120, 125 miles an hour. And when I saw him out of the corner of my eyes, I passed him. I killed my lights and turned on those big driving lights. So he couldn't tell from behind. He couldn't see the tag, and he couldn't tell what kind of car I had.
Smart man.
He did not even make the turn.
No, didn't bother.
No, he probably maybe hit the radio, realized there was nobody in front of me, and he didn't bother. He just went straight across the road, went about his business.
It's like not worth it.
Now they got police departments across the country looking for me now.
You're not supposed to share these things.
Yes. Well, this is between me, you, and the fence post, okay? Me, you, and Bones here. Nobody else is going to see this. Just on YouTube and Facebook. Nobody watches those things. Anyway, you are a very busy person. So let's start with the beginning. How in the world did you get involved in the paranormal?
I guess you can blame it on my father.
Apparently, he took you a lot of places. But is he still around, by the way?
Yes, he is.
Tell him my compliments.
I always he's He's always like,
He's
"I don't
what?
know how you turned out this way," like, joking around, and I was like, "It's all your fault because I was, like, 6 years old watching Hellraiser growing up with you, like."
I don't have a problem with that, so I think he raised you very well. So my compliments to him.
But,
But
yeah, I
talk
mean,
about
I
you and your
grew up
dad.
watching. Yeah, me and my father, I grew up, watching. I'm 35, so I guess I was like, I don't know what grade I was in when Ghost Hunters came out and all those shows, but I grew up watching Ghost Hunters and all the paranormal shows with my dad. And, we would go to Salem, Massachusetts every year and we'd do the ghost tours and the little ghost haunts that Salem Paranormal Society would do. And, he bought me my first, so I have one of those old school K2 meters that you actually have to stick the coin in so it stays down. Yeah, I still have it. And I'd bring it with me and go to, on like the ghost hunts in Salem and stuff. And when I was old enough, me and my best friend Megan started going to Salem every year, and we would go try to check out some of like they actually just made it like an official landmark, but there was an area right outside one of the Walgreens out in the outskirts of town was like the actual location of like the main witch trial hangings, that they never really advertised, and they just made it public within the last like year or so, and put a little plaque there. But we would go back there and no one really knew about it, and we would like go take pictures and do little mini investigations and whatever. So me and my friend Megan, we were always into it. um but when we growing up, when we were like, watching Ghost Hunters, this and that, most of these you couldn't get into most of these places. Like no one was um doing like the paid, like to pay to get in and go with your team. It wasn't like as very um uh, hi Liz. Um
Hello,
uh
Liz.
it wasn't very popular or readily accessible then. um then in my 20s I started noticing these places were doing, all right, you can pay this much, come in with your team, come investigate. I mean, there's always the old school way where you just break and enter, but my father was a police officer, so I tried to behave myself growing up because the last thing I wanted was him to have to bail my ass out of jail. um so you know at that point in my life, I don't know, I was in college and all this stuff. And I just was like, I can't stay up till 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning anymore. I'm like, this is just, I can't do it. So I kind of brushed it off for a while. And then during quarantine, when that whole shenanigan started, I was like, let me see you. So I kind of started going to little places by me, that were known for being like that you could actually go to, um, at the Ramapo, God, Ringwood Manor by me. The whole property is really cool. I'm only about a half hour away from the Sleepy Hollow, so I would go to the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, which I
Oh,
highly
cool.
recommend because that place is beautiful.
Cool.
It's giant. You could spend 2 days there. Really, it's huge. They have everything from old gravestones with like Washington Irving's grave, who's the one that wrote all the Headless Horseman stuff. And then they have like giant mausoleums, like the Chrysler, his mausoleum's there. Rockefeller, like there's all sorts of. But the place is like a park, pretty much. People are walking their
Hmm.
dogs, they're riding their bikes, they're fishing in the creek. So what else was there to do when you couldn't go anywhere because everything was on lockdown and everything was closed? So as soon as they opened up the outside public parks again, me and my friends started doing that. And I had met a friend of mine online and we started talking, and he lived close to me. And we ended up linking up with the team through Facebook or whatever. And we ended up, on that team. Eventually, we all left and we started our own team, East Coast Paranormal. So that's what I am on currently now, and it's been all uphill from there. I unfortunately don't have any like crazy story of being haunted as a child, and that's what got me into the paranormal. I was just like, no, I was just a geek and watched all the ghost shows growing up, you know.
Okay. What have you got anything upcoming?
Yes, I have so much stuff going on right now. I can't even, I'm exhausted thinking. I think I have like 20 more events the rest of the year as of right now. Hi, Rich. Rich is,
Hello, hello,
he's
Rich.
my buddy from East Coast Paranormal. He's one of my team members. Um, so, uh, we
Well,
saw,
right now, I might Liz. Wouldn't mind talking to her on the show sometime. And Rich Peters, feel free to contact me on Facebook Messenger, and we can talk about you making an appearance here.
yeah, I'll definitely have to tell you about our little story of Penhurst that
Okay, definitely,
happened to
definitely.
Rich when was there. As far as things coming up, um, we have pretty much almost every month. As far as East Coast Paranormal goes, we have something coming up. We just did Mid Orange Correctional Facility last weekend. It was crazy, crazy active.
Uh, how it was? What kind of tools did you use there?
I mean, we have everything. We have the standard, this and that. Rich doesn't like doing all the lives. I kind of force them upon him. um, but yes, we use REM pods, spirit boxes, all that stuff. I have personally veered away from using too much equipment. I didn't even carry my
Mhm.
camera around with me the other night because I've missed out on so much stuff because I was too busy with my head and my equipment. I've really been trying to focus on um, just paying attention to my surroundings now and really being in the moment of the investigation. And I did have my favorite piece of equipment with me on Saturday, and its name is Rob Stackowicz. Um, my buddy Rob, who owns Get Haunted, that I work for, was with us, and I joke around, I call him the EVP master. He has a DR60, actually has 6 DR60s, and I know they're controversial, but he works with them so much that he really understands how to, like, a lot of people like it will make like loud, like kind of aggressive noises, and I'm always like, oh my god, did you hear that? And he's like, no, no, no. He's like, you got to listen beyond that, you got to listen beyond that, and it'll actually pick up stuff that you won't even notice at first. It's like, it's not those loud crackles that the actual recorder's making that you need to pay attention to. It's the underlying, and he says he's got $10,000 ears, Rob, because he's got hearing aids, because I guess he had some sort of accident in the military, so he's got very expensive hearing aids. So he's got an awesome ear for that. We were actually in the main building of the schoolhouse, and I asked them, because Rob used to work for another event company, and he used to spend a lot of time there. And I was like, so what do you guys think of my friend Rob? And Rob's like, great, thanks, Christina, right? And we played it back, and it said, he's a dick.
Ooh.
And Rob looks at me and he's like, I hate you, Christina. But I always joke around and I say he's my favorite piece of equipment because we always get crazy EVPs with him. So I love working with him. So we have, a lot of things coming up. We have the next ECP event is on May 14th, which is Samuel Miller Mansion out in Pennsylvania. It's a little location. None of us have been there yet. But I'm excited to check it out. As far as Get Haunted goes, I think there's one room left as well. May 7th, we're going to be at the Cashtown Inn, which is right outside of Gettysburg. And this place is absolutely amazing. I've been there for, like, they had a change of ownership, so they did an open house, and we went and just checked it out. And Rich and my buddy, my friend Michelle, was with me, and we went to the second floor, and I'm not a sensitive, I'm not a psychic, and we went to the second floor of the inn, and I was like I had like extreme vertigo. It was like someone was like pushing down on me, and I looked at them and I was like, I'm a little dizzy, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, damn, So there's a lot of, I mean, anything near Gettysburg is that whole land is just got something about it. There's a little
Mhm.
creek that runs through the basement of the Cashtown Inn. And that's actually, so they used it as a hospital during the war.
Right. Right.
Like they took over
Hmm.
and they would do the surgeries in the basement, the amputations and everything like that. And the creek, they would use the creek that runs through the basement. Like literally you walk through and there's like a little, and there's water on each side. And they would clean the surgical instruments off in there. And they would they used natural sunlight, obviously, to use light for their surgeries. And they said that they would throw the limbs out the window, and they would pile up so high that it would start, you wouldn't be able to get sunlight in, so they'd have to send someone out there with a wheelbarrow to remove all the limbs so they could see to continue doing. So there's just crazy energy and crazy history behind that place. So I'm so excited to get there next weekend. Um
Well,
uh
right now, I have a lot of fun. Keep your mind open and get what you can. Because I would love to get to Gettysburg, and I probably never will. I'm just too far away. I've got too much to do down here. But go down there and definitely have fun and good luck. As I always tell everybody I know when they're going someplace, happy hunting.
oh, I'm
And one of
sure.
the one of the comment, your father was a police officer. You and I were talking earlier. You've shot guns before. Yeah, I've shot guns before, so we both know a little bit about guns.
Hmm.
You know why there were so many amputations in the Civil War, right?
Why? Because infections from gun wounds.
Well, that too. But the issue with them was the ammo they used.
Okay.
Because, right now, the standard NATO rounds are 9 mil.
Hmm.
And the AR-15, it's got a very powerful round. It's got a lot of powder behind it, but it's not that big.
Hmm.
The Civil War rounds didn't have that much powder behind them because you had to manually put the powder in because it wasn't a cartridge. But they used what they call a ball, but it was kind of
Hmm.
conical shaped,
Hmm.
and it was about like this, about that big.
Yeah.
Where even today's modern guns, an AR-15 or other assault rifle, is not. If it hits bone, it's going to break the bone, but it's got so much power, it's going to go right through it.
Yeah.
You get hit with this at a relatively, compared to today's velocity, slow speed, and what it did, it hit bone and shattered it. So for
Okay, that makes sense.
surgery, they had to go cut above the wound and then dig all the little fragments out, which,
Yeah.
you just said they're using sunlight
Yeah.
to do those surgeries. So they had to go up above this huge wound. And,
Yeah.
did they get all the fragments out? Did they get the bullet out? Because this lead is going to shatter too.
Hmm.
You got leaded poison you deal with. You got
Yeah.
all kinds of cuts. They're doing surgery after surgery. They're hardly even washing their hands. You were talking about washing the instruments in a stream, not hot water.
Hmm.
You should have a pot of water boiling for a long period of time to make sure you get all the bugs out of it
Yeah.
before you stick an instrument in it. Uh, so that's why you had all those amputations, because when one of those huge bullets hit any kind of bone, you had a mess. And even if it didn't hit bone, the
Yeah.
gaping hole in the front and especially the back was just
Yeah.
horrific.
Yeah. That's like, it's a mess.
Yes, so Civil War was a mess. It was a time I'm glad I didn't have to live through,
Hmm.
and I never saw combat, and kind of glad of it. Uh,
Hmm.
Even though I have volunteered to drive a truck in Ukraine. That's about all I can do at 65.
Yeah.
Is drive a truck. Of course, you said earlier you like to go to a shooting range. With 4 acres of land, I don't need to go to a shooting range. That's why I bought in the backyard.
Us,
Everybody in my neighborhood owns a gun, and we all shoot.
us North Jerseyers don't have that luxury, so.
We see. I live in Cane Creek Township, which consists with a big chunk of Lincoln County where I live. But the actual township is older than Star City. The records for Star City when they incorporated was held at the church right up the hill from me. So I live in kind of an older area, but you got mainly two main roads side by side, and we're talking about even on the other road. This road here has about 18, 19, 20 people living on it. The other road only has maybe 30 or 40 people living on it. And that's it. That's all I got living around me.
Not bad, not bad. We're horribly overcrowded here. So everyone's on top of each other.
I understand. My wife is a native Chicagoan.
Okay. No.
I lived in Chicago for 14 and a half years. We owned a 2-flat there, and we could actually, when the windows lined up with the house next door, we could actually lean out the window, and if the neighbor leaned out the window a little bit, we could shake hands.
Sounds about right.
So you can see what happened with us. I'm getting some bad feedback. You see the lifestyle we went through 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, in Gettysburg, you're going to go investigate this place. Are you going to investigate the battlefield, or are you going to be there for a couple of nights, just one night?
I'm just going to be there one night. I'll be out in Gettysburg. One of our team members, Michelle, one of my good friends, she owns she has a camper that they put in Gettysburg every year. So
Okay.
we go out there all the time. My team, we're hosting an event with Get Haunted on June 25th at the Hoover House. That's also right outside Gettysburg. So I'll be back for that. And then, we always go to the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash in August. So I'll be back out there again for that as well. They started, they used to be like till dusk. Not dusk. They used to have the fields open till like 10. And now they close them down at dusk, and then they have the park people controlling and stuff like that. So you really aren't supposed to be on the fields past. They're apparently kind of a stickler about that now. But I've got so much going on. I mean, we have so many. We're going back to Pennhurst in July. Then besides the Get Haunted and the ECP events, I'm actually working with Daryl Marston and Mike Diamond, who, Daryl Marston was from Ghost Hunters, and then Mike Diamond is his partner, and him and this one guy, Chris, they own Paranormal Warehouse now. So they have this really cool thing coming up. It's going to be June 11th. I'll be out there with them, but I'm actually doing assistant producing and PR and stuff. So I'm not going to be on in front of the camera for this, but they're June 11th. We're going to be at the House of Wills in Ohio, and it's a 5-hour interactive live event. It's going to be pay-per-view on Paranormal Warehouse page. It's called Dead Live. So it's called Dead Live. You'll see me post stuff about it over the next few weeks and everything. It's going to be really cool. It's going to be kind of like Paranormal Clue, where you can go. It's going to be interactive. So everyone who's watching can go onto the webpage and be like, all right, I want to put Daryl in the basement with a candlestick, not literally, but hypothetically speaking, that's kind of the whole idea about it. The House of Wills, Daryl has a book coming out and that he wrote about the House of Wills. So I'm kind of interested to get out there. I think the owner or one of the owners is actually like head priest of the Satanic Church. So I can only imagine what's going on at that place. And apparently that place has really screwed some people up just from being there. So I'm a little, I don't even want to say I'm on guard, because I I'm like one of those stubborn investigators. Don't tell me like to be careful and this and that. I'm like, it's fine. I'll be fine. I'm like, oh, that's the most haunted room in the place. All right, lock me in there for an hour by myself. Come get me later, you know?
Mm-hmm.
um I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, but yes, so I'll be doing that with them, and it's going to be a series of shows, but the first one's going to be there at the House of Wills in June. Then my buddy Rob is
Get him to go ahead.
no,
Get him to contact me, and if he sends me a banner,
mhm.
I'll be glad to run a banner. Between the time I receive the banner and the event,
Cool. I'll have to mention it to him.
I'll do that free of charge.
I will let him know. That's very nice of you. And then on top of that, if my schedule couldn't get any more crazier, so have you heard of the world's largest ghost hunt? They do it every
I've
year.
heard of it.
So
I've never really spent a whole lot of time talking to somebody in it.
yeah. So the world's largest ghost hunt, they reached out to my buddy Rob, who owns Get Haunted, and asked him to be one of the co-owners this year. And he's probably the years coming as well. It's a day every year, same day every year. It's this year, it's September 24th. It's like the whatever last Saturday or something in September, I think, every year. And September 24th, people all around the world get together and they all investigate on the same day. They all live stream in one spot from all around the country. There were people live streaming from Egypt last year, the haunted farce in Japan. It was a big thing, you know. So I decided, since I know over the past few years they've had some technical issues, and I knew I was working with these fantastic producers on the Dead Live, and I was like, hey guys, like, do you guys all want to come on and help us with World's Largest Ghost Hunt? So now it's World's Largest Ghost Hunt with Get Haunted and with Paranormal Warehouse. So it's going to be huge this year. Absolutely huge. I can't wait. We landed where we're going to be is going to be the headquarters of the entire operation. So I guess like all the teams will be out there doing their thing, but we're going to be like the home base for the entire thing. I'm not going to announce where we got this year for the location.
Okay.
We had to pull someone had to pull some strings to get it. I will announce it eventually. I'm just still trying to process it because I've been there plenty of times, but it's my number one favorite location. But they don't do private investigations on the weekends anymore because they decided to cash in on doing public, you know. But we were able to get it for that Saturday. So I'm so excited for that. I've met so many awesome people doing this. And I'm like super excited that we're all working together on like so many different projects now. So
Cool.
It's a little crazy, but it's good crazy. You know, it's
I can sympathize. Little group I work with, we do something similar. Nothing to that scale yet, but we're already planning next month in about 4 weeks a 24-hour Zoom call.
okay.
Where we'll all take turns doing a live ghost box.
Okay.
And just talking to paranormal like you and I are doing now.
Mhm.
But then we say, okay, let's do a ghost box session. And somebody will crank up a ghost box and we will be sitting there asking questions live. And we're going to keep it going for 24 hours. And it's going to be Memorial Day weekend.
Nice. Very cool.
We're going to start on Friday night and take it through Saturday night.
That sounds exhausting.
Yes. I am looking forward to it in one way. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
24 hours are fun. I am not looking forward to it in another way because I'm 65 years old and 24 hours doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun.
I'm 35, honey, and that doesn't sound like fun to me either. I'm like, 4 a.m. Oh my God. I go through like my first wind, my second wind, my third.
Mm-hmm. When I was 35, I was still playing semi-pro baseball. Right field.
Yeah. I don't know.
Which meant I was trying to.
They just don't make them like they used to anymore.
I was trying to hit 92, 93, 94 mile an hour fastballs, and playing right field. I'm trying to stand on the warning track and throw the baseball to the second baseman.
Yeah, I don't know. I know nothing about sports.
Well, if you ever go to a major league ballpark, go out to the right field bleachers and just take a look at the area that I was covering when I was 35, 36, 37. Yeah. I look at it and I look at a game now. I said, "Oh my God, how the hell did I ever do that?" Because now I would have to catch a cab to get from the dugout to right field position.
Get a golf cart or something.
Something.
Oh man.
It's age is crazy, but one thing you need to learn, this is kind of an older fellow's advice to you. Get ready when you get locked in a room, like you were talking about. Learn how to build a stone wall or a brick wall, whatever you want to call it. You can call it a steel wall, but learn how to construct it in less than a second. Because the best device you can have on a ghost hunt is an open mind. But the most dangerous thing you can have on a ghost hunt is an open mind.
Yep.
You've got to be able to say, you got to have that gut feeling and enough experience to say, this is not good. And before you even get that thought done, you've built a stone wall where nothing can bother you.
I unfortunately feel like I always have that. And a lot of times I don't have experiences because of that.
Well, that's where you got to learn. You got to learn to deconstruct it and learn how to construct it. Did you watch the original Star Wars movie?
Oh yes, of course.
Okay, you remember when they first got onto the Death Star, and they were going to cut off the shields, and they went into a room. They managed to knock out the guy or something. I don't remember the details, but they went into the room, and 1 second the door was closed, and a quarter of a second later the door opened. They got inside, and a quarter of a second later it closed. Where it's like when they took the thing, they had one frame with the door wide open. The very next frame in the movie had the doors completely shut, and they had a little sound effect of the door shutting.
Yeah.
This is what you have to do with your mind. You got in a microsecond open. You need to have it open when you go to investigate, or you're not going to see or hear anything.
Nope.
But you got to be able to slam that door shut in a microsecond. I guess me playing baseball for a while, I learned how to do that because you have about 1/10 of a second to this when the ball leaves his hand is about 1/10 of a second that you've got to decide, do I swing or not? And if you're going to hit a 95 mile an hour pitch, that's what you got to do. You got it less than 1/10 of a second. Mm-hmm. And some of these guys on the major leagues throwing at 100, you've got a 20th of a second, a 25th of a second to decide if you're going to swing or not.
Well, I've been very fortunate that up until recently, I have not had any experiences that I felt threatened. I did have a sort of sketchy, interesting experience at the Shanley Hotel with my team, East Coast Paranormal, in January. I always stay in the same room at the place, and Shanley's weird because sometimes it's active like while you're investigating the building, and then sometimes it's nothing really going on, and then when you go to bed, when we were there last year, I had something walking around the bathroom in the room all night, tap 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 tap, and then the doors creaking. It actually woke my one friend up. Rich slept through it completely, but it woke my one friend up, And she's like, "Did you hear that?" I'm like, "I've been listening to it for like 45 minutes." It was like 4 in the morning at that point. So I stayed in the same room this past January. And I think the most disturbing part of the story is I'm not really sure what happened, if I was conscious or not, but I sleep terribly at the Shanley. Um, I mean, I don't really sleep that good when I'm at home to begin with, but um, I can't sleep while there. And it was like 4 a.m. I went to bed. I woke up an hour later. I had put my camera facing the bathroom when I went to bed. And I woke up an hour later. I saw my camera was dead, which is, those batteries don't last very long. It was fine. And I was trying to go back to sleep. And then I woke up like an hour later and I couldn't move. I felt the bed, heard and felt the bed flex under pressure. Like something was holding me down on the bed, and I was like, I sleep on my side stomach, so I'm laying like this, and I can't move. My friend's son, Anthony, he's the youngest member of our team. He's 18. He was sharing the room with me this time, and he was passed out. He was passed out before I even got back to the room that night. And so here I am having some sort of sleep paralysis kind of thing going on. Can't move. It feels like something is just holding me down. And I go to scream and nothing will come out of my mouth. I'm sitting there in a panic. And then like I either came to or I woke up. Don't know if I dreamt this. I don't know if I was awake. I have no idea. I cannot differentiate the me being able to move again with actually waking up, you know.
It's hard.
So I got up and I put my hoodie on, I put my shoes on, I went downstairs to the common area. It was like 6 a.m. at this point. And I waited another like 2 to 3 hours before the rest of the team woke up down there. I just sat down there and I was like, nope. You know, I'm glad it happened. It makes me a better investigator. It makes me more experienced investigator. I had that personal experience, and that's what I'm there for, is experiences like that. It shook the hell out of me. I will tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, like if I knew I was awake for that, I think I would feel a little better about it. And it doesn't make any sense. But I don't know. I don't know what the hell happened, but it's a Shanley. So even if I dreamt that, like that's like the Shanley messes with you. So either way, I'd say it was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only time I ever had any type of experience that kind of evoked some sort of panic in me. I've
Wow.
never really had anything. I mean, I was telling you about before, my friend Rich, me and a few of our team members were with him down in the tunnels over at Penhurst in Pennsylvania. And we had been down there for a little while, and then Rich and one of my other team members came downstairs into the tunnels, and they're like, "Hey, what's going on?" I'm like, "Oh, we're getting some equipment hits, nothing crazy." So they sat down with us for like a good half an hour, and then all of a sudden, and it's winter. Well, it was like fall or something like that, or spring, but it was cold. Like we all had long sleeves on and jackets, and Penhurst, if you're inside either the tunnels or the buildings, it's like 15 degrees colder than it is outside to begin with. And we're all sitting there. Rich is sitting right across from me, and all of a sudden you hear, "Ow!" And I'm like, "What? What happened?" He's like, we walked over by him, and he takes his sleeve and he pulls his sleeve up, and he's got full on his arm, top and bottom teeth prints, full mouth print
Really?
on his arm. And the funny part is Penhurst was notorious for having patients that would bite. And one
Right.
of their doctors was well known as punishment, would yank their teeth out.
Right.
And this mouth print was small. So it was either a child or a woman. It wasn't Rich. We call him Chit Chat. He's got a big mouth. It wasn't his mouth. And it looked like it was missing teeth. I'll show you those pictures one day. It was absolutely crazy. Have you ever been bit by anything? Dog, cat, kid?
Oh,
Um, Yeah.
You don't, yeah. Not
So
on investigations. I've been bitten
well, I
by a
meant in real
dog a
life.
couple of times.
Yeah, so
I've been,
when you first get bit, it's like just flesh, normal colored, and then within like 30 seconds or so, your skin starts to expand and swell and turn red. And that's usually when
mhm.
you like start bleeding. Like I've gotten bit by a dog before. My skin was just regular colored and it was like imprinted and then it would swell. So we're standing there with flashlights after this happened and you watch it turn red and swell. So like I knew he didn't do that 20 minutes ago to himself before he came down there because it responded like a bite would when it just happens, and he was sitting right in front of me, like I would have saw that shit, so but the funny part is he was a trooper. He was like, hey, who bit me? And we were all kind of just like, holy shit, that's awesome, so that wasn't scary though. We were, because that was like the holy grail of our paranormal career so far. That was something crazy that I don't know if I'll ever experience again.
Well, hopefully you will, because it's interesting. It makes it worthwhile, and that's why we do these things, to have an experience.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this: do you remember you watched a lot of Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters? Do you remember the Saddamsville Rectory on Ghost Adventures?
On Ghosted, honestly, um
It was an old
I
rectory next to a
watched
church.
I was more of a Ghost Hunters fan.
Okay,
I've seen
they
Ghost Adventures. I've seen plenty of their episodes,
mm,
but
th-
um, you know.
this is one place that Zach would not even go into until he got a Catholic priest to go in there, and he
Mm.
found out it didn't help a whole lot.
Oh
They've
wow.
since, because of that episode, they raised quite a bit of money in the paranormal. Of course, having every paranormal group in that part of the country of Ohio, around Cincinnati, and across the country, come in there and do investigations. They made their money. They rebuilt the place, and they were ready to open up for public tours, historic tours, not paranormal. And they got the Catholic Church to send some big guns in there and clean the place out, because it was their priest haunting the place, and it was
Oh
their
wow.
issue.
Yeah.
They should have cleaned it out, and they did. But that
Yeah.
that was where I learned a lot of stuff, and that's where I had one of my first contacts with the spirit. This is before Ghost Adventures went in there.
Hmm.
Uh, we were staying in a hotel so we could rest up before driving back to Chicago, and I took my shirt off and realized I had an imprint a little bit bigger than my thumb. It was a bigger hand than I've got, but from about here up on the thumb, I had a print that size on up under here,
Oh
about
wow.
right where the bicep meets the
Mhm,
tricep area
mhm,
on
mhm.
the inside, where somebody obviously reached up under my right arm, reached
Uh-huh.
from behind and grabbed me and squeezed hard enough, not enough to break skin with
Mhm,
a nail,
mhm.
but squeezed hard enough with their thumb to cause a bruise the size of their thumb.
Hmm. That's crazy.
And I didn't even know it happened until I got back to the hotel, and I said, "What is this?" Kind of hurting there. And I looked up in the mirror and I said, "Oh my gosh, look at this."
Yeah.
So I can understand where Rich is coming from, because
Yeah, he's like a
that's a
punching
shocker. But
bag.
that's what
He gets scratched. He gets no, I'm
really.
not joking. He's like a paranormal punching bag. He gets scratched all the time, and he's a big dude. He can't reach the middle of his back. I know he didn't do that. Like he ends up getting scratched, all the time. I mean, I guess he just pisses him off. I don't know, but um, it's not uncommon
Well,
of a situation.
the little bit of time he was in here earlier in the chat room seems like a nice guy.
Oh, Rich.
Yeah.
No, no, he is. He is. He's just a smart ass. That's all.
Well, I think we all have that, and that's what makes ghost
Our
hunting
whole
fun
team
in
is like
groups.
that. Our whole team is that. And we're all a bunch of jerks.
Have, have you ever run into a smart ass ghost? Uh, during an investigation?
I mean, probably the spirit that said that my friend Rob's a dick the other day would probably count
Yep,
as one of
that's
those.
pretty good example of that.
Yeah, yeah.
I was
Um,
on a tour in New Orleans once, and the person that was leading the tour, her and I'd worked together before, and she led some people. We were hunting a two-story place, two-story former slave quarters in New Orleans. What could go wrong, right? Former slave quarters in the middle of
yeah,
the French Quarter in New Orleans.
yeah, yeah.
What can happen? So she took some of the tour upstairs, and she admitted they got absolutely nothing. I was downstairs. The downstairs had a spirit of a guy who had hung himself in a closet. So we're sitting there in front of the fireplace. He was right in front of the fireplace. We were sitting in front of the fireplace, to the side, where we could all had some people standing right by the closet.
Wow.
And I developed a conversation with him, and we were talking back and forth, and everybody said, "Ooh," and to prove that I was not faking it, or we were all listening to a recording, I said, "Remember, I don't know all of your names, know some of you." And I said, "Can you name this person's name so we can prove that this is not a recording, this is not my voice?"
Mm-hmm.
So he said their name, and this person knew I did not know their name. So it couldn't be a pre-recorded thing. But the point is, I'm getting to, the host came down from upstairs and was shocked that I was talking to a spirit there that she'd talked to, been a while, but she always tried to contact when she was there. And she said, "I haven't heard your voice in a couple of years. This is great." He said, "How have you been?" And he said, "Fine." And she said, he doesn't talk to me sometimes. And I said, "Well, what do you think of her?" I named her by name. And he said, and this is in front of about 25 people, not including me. He said, "She talks too much."
I love when you get responses like that. It's great. It
It
shows
makes your day.
it does. And it really people forget they were human. They are human. They're just not alive anymore. So they have personalities, and
Mm-hmm.
and I think a lot of people don't like think about that when they go into it. Um but yeah, that's funny. I love when you get smart ass comments.
Oh, it's great. I do not use provoking. This one problem I have with certain TV shows. I
Oh
can
yeah.
see you're shaking your head. You don't do that either.
No, I mean, I don't provoke per se. I will use situations like instead of a trigger object, I might use like a trigger situation. Like for example at the Shanley, um it was supposedly the one girl Rosie fell down the well and had died across the street. So there's rumors that her father possibly had drowned her in the tub in the Rose Room, which was the room that I stay in every year, and then had dumped her body in the well to cover it up. So I'm not like, hey, you MFer, why'd you kill your daughter? I'm like, hey, Peter, which is their father's name. I said, like, hey, Peter, a lot of people are, spreading rumors that you killed your daughter. Is that true? So I'll ask questions that might like
Right.
invoke an emotional response. You know what I'm saying? Or in the brothel area, the bordello area we were last time. My buddy Patrick was sitting next to his flux device, and We had a bunch of team members in there and nothing was going on. So what did I do? I got up and I said, all right, ladies, well, if you're not going to take care of this lovely young gentleman, then I'm going to. And I went and I sat on Patrick's lap. And my friend Sarah Lee came over and put a $10 bill in my sweatshirt. And I'm like, ladies, $10. I could pay rent for weeks with this. Now, thinking back to the time frame that this was all
Right.
going on, so I really like to do so I don't really feel like it's provoking because I'm not being disrespectful or anything, but I'm bringing up or recreating situations that they would relate to or might invoke some kind of emotional response. And I do that a lot when it's quiet, and
Right.
I'm trying to stir it up a little bit.
You got to do something.
Yeah. But
I'm just glad this young lady down in New Orleans that I had activity and was talking to somebody instead of her trying to stir that up and do something like that, because my wife was back at the hotel. We were staying at the Andrew Jackson Hotel and also investigated that for 2 nights. But if she's only in her mid-20s, and my wife has a strict look but don't touch rule.
That's funny.
My wife's an hilarious person. She doesn't care what I do with a woman. Go out, spend the whole night ghost hunting, or talking here on YouTube and Facebook. She doesn't care. You do your show, have some fun. I told you to go out and make friends. I got to deal with the consequences. But that's the one rule she has.
Well,
women can look, don't touch.
It's a good rule. Oh man. But yeah, so like I said, things have been crazy busy. I forgot to mention, I don't know if you know Dave Childers and Chris Sanders. I'm actually co-hosting with them on their It's Haunted network page now as well. So I co-host with them on their podcast now, which has been fun. Those two are hilarious. I love them so much. They're like my spirit animals.
Well, let me say this about that. I am retired. I do my show 1 day a week. Now I'm probably going to be expanding and doing a 1 hour YouTube show, maybe 1 hour Facebook show other nights. But I'm available if they don't have anybody lined up. Tell them I'm available most nights. You know how to contact me. You can hook us up, and I'll be more than happy to tell my stories. And I've got a ton of them.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You can imagine investigating for many years in Chicago. I've got stories.
Oh, I'm sure.
And also stories from many investigations down in New Orleans.
New Orleans. I need to get there. I want to go out to New Orleans.
Yes, you do. Yeah. Hopefully we can get back. The wife wants to get back, and believe it or not, and we're trying to stay at where we want to go. Probably a couple of years before we get to do it, because it's kind of expensive. Is stay at the Lafitte Hotel, which is just across the street from the Lafitte Blacksmith Bar, which is very haunted. I got stories of that place. That's going to be our next big New Orleans investigation, staying there. And it's got a child who died in the hotel, and a woman, her mother, went to the room where the child died and locked the door and never came out.
Oh, wow.
They went in after her for 3 or 4 days and found her dead.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, in the same room.
I can't wait. One day I'll get out there. I need to get out to New Orleans really bad. If not for just the crawfish. I'm a jambalaya fan.
Oh, you would love New Orleans.
I know.
The food is incredible. But one word of advice. If you go down there, the first day, take a tour, and you can only get there on tour, is visit the tomb of Marie Laveau.
That'd be really cool.
Now, do you ever tie your hair back in a ponytail?
Yep, during the
Uh,
summer.
you can see me. I've got hair halfway down my back. Anyway, it just looks like I'm bald. This lighting. Anyway, uh, I visited her tomb and I just took the hair tie out, holding it up, and gave it to her as an honorary gift. Put
Mm-hmm.
it by the tomb, and they do allow that on the tour. They
Okay.
don't allow you to mark on it. They spend a lot of time cleaning and restoring her tomb.
Yeah, I'm sure.
The cemetery has had its issues, so you can only get in there on a daytime tour.
Okay.
Go in there and leave her a little tribute because she was a hairdresser by trade.
Ooh, okay.
She was much more of a hairdresser than into voodoo. She's not a bad spirit at all. She's taught me a lot. I'm thinking she hasn't really said definitely, but there's a psychic called Chris Garcia. You can look him up on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
He actually has documentation where he's a distant relative of Marie Laveau, and my wife may very well be a distant relative of Marie Laveau.
Mm. Okay.
But go there. The first thing, uh, just give her a little tribute, something to do with hair. Doesn't have to be
Mm-hmm.
a hair tie, but anything to do with hair.
Mm-hmm.
She loves that. And just say, all I want to do is come down to New Orleans and ghost hunt. Will you allow me to do that? And if you give her a tribute, you won't have any issues.
Hmm. Very
If you
interesting.
get in any trouble, she'll back you up.
That's cool. That's very cool. Yeah, I've never heard about
So
that.
very few people know that. That's
Hmm.
that's kind of me. Uh,
That is kind of neat.
yeah, it's a very neat thing, and it's kind of unique. Me, there are other people who also realize that Marie Laveau is not the evil voodoo queen that some people make her out to be.
Yeah.
A lot of
Well,
tour guides in New Orleans have it wrong.
I mean, it's just like the movies. The movies ain't how it is in real life. It's everything. Everything is exaggerated, especially over time. And
Yes, yes, it is. Like a lot of things on TV shows are. Uh, yeah, I don't have to name names here, but you know what I'm talking about. A lot of these are highly exaggerated.
just a bit with all their demons and such.
There's there is in my experience, I doubt seriously that every state in the union has a demon, one demon. I doubt that seriously.
My friend Eric is in Nesper. All right. My friend Eric, I've known him since I was 13 years old. He's in Nesper, New England Society for Psychic Research. That is in Lorraine Morin's old group.
Right.
Their son-in-law, Tony Spera, runs it. And I got to meet all of them at my friend Eric's wedding this past year and everything. And everyone's great. And they do they go to like exorcisms with like Catholic priests and shit. They'll do like little ones in like households. You only Catholic priests can do like human exorcisms, but they can exorcise a house. But anyways, they're all big into that. They're very religious, which I mean I am not, but to each their own. Um, and they talk about how their next exorcism, like they're having a cup of tea, chit chatting,
Mm-hmm.
like normal business as usual. And
Yes.
I'm like, wow. I'm like, that's crazy. I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not out here looking for no demons. Like,
No,
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't need that. I'm not saying it might not happen. I go to some places that is very quite possible, but I am not going deliberately to look for
No.
demons.
I ran into the only experience I had with a demon is once, and I learned real quick that human can't do much unless you're a priest, and only then they can get them to move on. You can
Yeah.
only just run them out of a house, and that's about it.
Yeah, and I feel like
Uh,
I feel a lot of times too, you run into an angry human spirit that it is not a demon. I
right.
feel like demons are, if there's demons, they're very few and far between. I don't, and people have to remember, if you're a crotchety old man when you die, or a nasty old woman, or whatever, like you're gonna be a jerk when you're dead too, like as a spirit. So and I think they get bored as well, so they try to like kind of fool you into scaring you about stuff. So don't always believe what you hear coming through your spirit box or whatever it is. Even, and it goes the opposite way too. That little boy Timmy might be a demon. So everything, take it for a grain of salt, I guess, right?
Yep. All you can do is the best you can, and try to figure it out. If you got an evil spirit trying to make out by a child, sooner or later they're going to expose themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to try to get you to do something you're not going to want to do, and you just got you gotta know when to say no. And if you do say yes, and you do find yourself, you got to know how to handle yourself and
Yeah,
get
because
rid
you
of it.
have to. I mean, I don't know any of this from experience, but from everything I've read and this and that and whatever, you really need to invite them in. Um, so as long as you don't do something stupid and invite them in, you're good. Like, that's why I'm weary about Ouija boards. I remember reading one of the Warrens books, and they were talking about a story of this teenage girl. I think she was a teenager, and she was like, um obsessed with using the Ouija board at her house, and she had a boyfriend. She had a ghost boyfriend, and she would communicate with him through a Ouija board. And needless to say, it was not what she thought it was. She became obsessed, and it pretty much ruined her life. So
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I'm a little weird about that stuff. And my friends over at the Hoover House do table tipping and stuff like that, and whatever. I trust them that they know what they're doing. Um, and I'm used to be like, no Ouija boards, no, 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 And now that I was desperate at the Conjuring House and whipped one out because they happened to have them laying around everywhere. I didn't do anything. But I usually don't play with them. I think they're really cool. I mean, I like aesthetically, I think they're like, like the planchettes, and like I think some of like the homemade ones with the like made out of wood and stuff. They're very pretty. I
Yes.
don't know.
I'm fully agreeing with everything you said. You see me nodding my head. That I don't have anything else to say because you said it all.
But and at
One
the
thing,
same time, it's just another. I'm
it's just
weary of
another
them,
tool.
but it's just another tool. It's no
It's
different
just another tool.
than opening yourself up and asking questions, or opening. You're making that connection. It's just a tool. So I'm
Right.
trying. I'm trying to kind of, not that I want to use them all the time, because I've honestly never had one ever do shit for me. But I'm
Just close
trying.
it down. You got to close it.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm not going to do a Ouija board by myself. Uh, I do not own one. I do not know how to use one, and that's when you get in trouble. Now, if somebody that knows what they're doing wants to use one in my
Exactly.
presence, I don't have an issue with that because I'll do an Echo Vox. I know how to run an Echo Vox. I know how to open it. I know how to close it, and I know how to get out of it when there's issues.
Hmm.
Same with the ghost box. You got to know how to get out of it if you start having an issue and realize this is an issue. I need to end this session.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of person that would know how. Okay, this has gone too far. I need to
Hmm.
close this and close off the Ouija board. I
Yeah.
would have no problem working with somebody like that.
Exactly.
But but with amateurs or doing it myself, no, I will not touch it because I don't know how it works.
Hmm. No, I
And
agree with you completely.
I'm trying to figure out other things and do other things. I don't have the time to try to master a Ouija board. I'm just not going to spend the
No.
2 or 3 years it takes to master that.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'll stick with what I know and have my
Hmm.
that I trust.
Yes. Right now we're gonna. It's a little bit past halftime. Let me do a couple of things that I told you I would do for your events. And by the way, uh, We can talk about this later on, not during the show, but because it get kind of late for you. But later on Facebook, we can discuss. I would love to have you back in September.
Okay.
To discuss your event, your worldwide event. You could give some more details.
Yeah.
Maybe you can come on there with a couple of other people. This is StreamYard. I don't know if you use it or not,
I do.
but you can have I think, what is it, 8 or 10 guests if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to come in, advertise that event a week or two before the event.
Yeah, definitely.
We can talk about a date. And we need to talk about that in the next few weeks because I've already got one date in September already signed. They've got an event earlier in the month.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
So maybe the second, third week, or just the weekend before, get you and maybe a couple other people, 3 or 4 others if you want them, and talk about that event because I'm really interested in that event. I'm sure other people watching the show would love to hear more and understand more about what you're doing and how you're doing that event.
Yeah. No, it's pretty cool. I'm so excited to be part of it this year. But it'll be cool. It's going to be good. It's going to be better than ever. And I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Let me go ahead and talk about this. I'm going to throw a couple things up on the screen. If you know anything about this, you can comment on it. If it's news to you, just take a look. Going to throw this up to start with.
Oh, yes. I was there last year.
Oh, are you going this year?
I might be. It's possible. As long as I don't have anything else going on that day. Get Haunted keeps throwing up more events every few weeks, so my schedule's getting tight. But yeah, no, I'll definitely probably if I'm not doing something else, I will. Me and my team usually go.
Okay, you got a lot of interesting people here. The only one I'd actually know out of this group is Dave Schrader.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever talked with him in person?
Yes, I have.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. No.
He actually interviewed me for his Darkness Radio in Baxter's Grove Cemetery, one of the most haunted cemeteries in the United States. And I was talking about an episode I had in the cemetery, and he actually pulled out his camera and recorder and just interviewed me right there as we were standing in the middle of the cemetery. And that's an interesting thing to do. I was not on the radio, wasn't on the internet. We were on site.
Yeah, I met him at NJ Power Unity last year. That's where I met Dave. He's very nice guy.
He's a great guy. I've also got this event. This is coming up pretty quick. The Parasite Con. You're probably not going to make that, are you?
No, I think the only other I'm going to be going to the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. And then October 22nd, Chris Sanders is doing his first year hosting the Sleepy Hollow Powercon in Sleepy Hollow, New York. I'll be at that. And then my buddy Nesper and his Nesper team are doing the Warrens Exploring the Supernatural, or not exploring, Warrens Seeking the Supernatural Powercon or whatever, out in Connecticut at the Mohegan Sun. So I'll be at all those this year, but that's probably the only conventions I'm going to make it out to.
Okay. Now, if you want to send me banners to that event, I'll be glad to show them up like I'm doing these.
Yeah, well, definitely.
And we got this one. Oh, I can't read the date on that.
March 26th and 27th. So that passed already, I guess.
That's passed already. So that's done. So we are done with our advertising for right now. We do not really have a set sponsor. We usually go with Buddy the Bigfoot for the network, but they have not sent me a new video for Buddy the Bigfoot. So they sent it with my network, WLFE, was running their own Powercon. They had an advertisement with advertising the Powercon with Buddy the Bigfoot, and I'm not that good editing software, I don't know how to separate those two videos. So
I can't do editing.
You do what?
I said I'm not very good at editing either. I don't
No.
really.
I don't like it. I don't enjoy it.
No, neither. I don't have the patience.
That's my problem. I lack patience. This right here, I did this in 30 minutes yesterday. I am finally learning how to use this banner software.
Nice.
And that was that took me a bit. I had to learn how to. I learned posting your pictures. Now those three were the thing, the little thingy, whatever it is, the software.
For that Ink magazine contest, yeah.
Yeah, they already had 3 places for photos, but that's it. The rest of them, I had to put the thingy in to accept the photos. And so I figured that out with your banner. So you actually helped me out, and I learned some stuff from making that banner. So doing that banner has made me a better person. But my problem is learning Nero and any other video software. I've got to figure that out, and I'm a boomer. I'm not naturally good at it. I've never had a class at it. Because remember, I am a boomer. I was born the 10th or the 11th year. If you go by 18-year generations, I was born the 11th year of the boomer generations of 18. All right, we're going to do my intro real quick. I did not do it at the start of the show. Go ahead and run it now, and then we'll get back to whatever we were doing.
Warning, the following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers and or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Southern Fried Paranormal with Len Dorman featuring Bones. Catch us on Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, Spreaker, Facebook, Stream, and everywhere else you catch your podcasts. And of course, WLFE-DB.com. Now, from the backwoods of southeast Arkansas, right beside the Bayou Bartholomew, the longest bayou on the planet, broadcasting from downtown metropolitan Cane Creek Township, here is your host, Len Dorman.
And I'm still here with Christina. And we're going to continue to talk paranormal for at least a while, or as long as she wants to. She's on the East Coast. By the way, you will notice I had an 8 p.m. start. I had to move that. The number one is moved for several reasons. Number one is because of my locale in the internet. I'm in the deep woods, and my internet is not the greatest. We got a new system that started out late last year. And if it weren't for that system, I could not do this show on satellite internet because I can only do a certain amount of uploads. Basically, I do 1 2-hour show and all my prime internet is gone. For the rest of the month, I'd be on a slower than dial-up speed. So now I got slightly faster but unlimited, but the speed goes up and down. And at 8 o'clock local time, which is 9 o'clock your time, a lot of people got home from work, got out of school, and they're doing the homework, and they're on the internet. You look at a Pornhub or whatever they're doing.
It just bogs it down.
It bogs it down, makes it slow, and I was having a hard time, as in freezes, et cetera, et cetera. Name the problem you've seen. And that's why I moved it to 11 o'clock your time, and that's why you're still awake at this late hour. So I appreciate
I got about 10-15 minutes left in me, and then I gotta go. I gotta get up at 6:20 in the morning. So
wow. So okay. What I can do is work around that easily. But let's go on, and anything else you want to talk about, we'll go ahead and talk about that. When you run out of gas, I can either end the show or I can talk a little bit further. I don't know. I was born and raised a Georgian. I was a son of a politician, I was in politics a little bit, the JCs myself. So if you ever met politicians from Georgia, we can talk by the hour.
Oh no, I usually can too. I just went a little more away. But no, I mean, I'm just looking forward to the rest of the year. I'll let me see. Let me tell all your lovely listeners. As far as the oh my god, my rest of my schedule is absolutely I'm exhausted looking at it, to be honest with you.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, May 7th, we got Cashtown, which is the Get Haunted event. There's still one room open for purchase if anyone's interested. You can go on to the Get Haunted Network group page, and it'll have the events listed, and all of our events with the tickets and everything are on there. May 14th, I said I'm doing Samuel and Miller Mansion with my team, East Coast Paranormal. May 28th, the Shanley event with Get Haunted. June 3rd, my friend Melissa Keller from Jotnick's Paranormal invited me out to West Virginia Penitentiary with her and her team and a few people. So I'm super excited to go to that. I've never been there before. June 11th, I have the Dead Live House of Wills in Ohio. June 25th, we have the Hoover House event with Get Haunted and a couple of my team members as well. July 3rd, East Coast Paranormal will be back at Penhurst. It's like my number one favorite location ever. I love Penhurst.
What's that date?
July 3rd.
July 3rd is my birthday.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Well, we just picked it because Penhurst only does. They stopped this year. We used to go multiple times a year. When they still did private investigations on Fridays and Saturdays. This year, they started only doing private investigations Sunday through Thursday. So we picked July 3rd because it's a Sunday, but most of us have off that Monday. So we don't have to take off work.
There you go.
Because it's 4th of July. So that works out.
But one of the great advantages to my life, there's many times I would sit there and take my birthday off work. I say, can I have a birthday off? They'd say, sure. And I was always off 2 days. I'd either have middle of the week, or my birthday was on Wednesday, 4th of July was on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
I had a 2-day weekend in the middle of the week.
That works
and
out.
It was just like, yes. So that's been an advantage to my life is having 2 days off for my birthday, really. So think about me when you're there. Of course, the bad thing is I turned 66, so I'm 2/3 of a very bad number.
It's fine. Oh man.
What you got after that?
July 9th, we have the S.K. Pierce Mansion in Massachusetts. That's a Get Haunted event. There's still tickets left for that as well. July 15th, we're going to be doing a double investigation weekend with my team. So July 15th is the Hinsdale House, and then July 16th, we're doing Wildwood Sanitarium. July 23rd, I have NJ Power Unity on here as of now. August 6th, I'll be at Hillview Manor working a Get Haunted event, which is like 6 hours from me. But the place is supposedly huge, so I'm really looking forward to that one. I have never been there as well. So this year I'm getting out to a lot of locations that I haven't made it out to yet. So I'm kind of looking forward to getting some more under my belt, you know. August 19th is the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. I don't want to hear you're never going to make it to Gettysburg. We have people, my friend Charlotte from the UK is flying out to come to the bash. So she's coming from Europe.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, she lives in the UK. Yep. Then we have, let's see, September 3rd, we're trying, I haven't gotten the full details yet, but we're trying to get in over at Fort Delaware, which is cool because you're kind of like on an island in the middle of the Delaware River.
Right. I've heard of the place. That would be a great place.
Yeah, you're stuck from 5 p.m. till 10 a.m. the next day on this at the fort, you know.
I would almost rather go there than Gettysburg. I know I wouldn't turn down Gettysburg, but if I had a choice between the two, I'd have to think about that for a while.
Yeah, we're waiting for the final details from the state because it's a state-run, like living museum they call it. So
Right.
I'm just trying. We need the insurance policy and this and that and whatever.
Right.
So
Well,
uh,
good luck. Good luck there. That would be a
I hope I get it.
fabulous thing.
I know. I really hope we
I
get it.
really hope you do. I really hope you do.
Yeah. They already approved the date and everything. It's just running through the last, like, there's boards and this and that that run it. So it's like, all right, let me know,
Yeah.
you know.
But are you going to be the one paying for the insurance, or you just your
So
whole
the
group?
greatest part about working for Get Haunted is I have my friend Rob that owns Get Haunted, and he has insurance for the business. So that's how I got into Mid Orange. You needed insurance to go into Mid Orange as well, but
Yes.
Rob came with us, and we used the Get Haunted insurance. So
There you go.
it's good having friends, you know. Because that's always a problem. I looked into insurance policies like crazy, and I was having a really hard time. Um, a lot of the insurance companies were like, I don't even know what to categorize that under. It's not a haunted house. Like, like where people jump out at you, like they didn't even have like a category. I was like, we're sitting in the dark talking to ourselves. Like, that's what we're doing. Then let's see, September 10th. I might be going. I'm friends with Ray Savino, who runs Flumeri Promotions. They're doing an event at the old hospital, College Hill in West Virginia that day. I may be popping by to say hi. I haven't decided yet. It is like 9 hours away, so we'll see. September 24th, save the date, world's largest ghost hunt. If any of you guys are out there investigating that day, check out the world's largest ghost hunt webpage. I don't know the exact, just Google it. You don't even need web pages anymore. You just Google things. Just Google it, and you can go onto the page and sign up. There is a fee, I believe, this year for the teams to sign up. I know it's been free in the past, but now we have like professional producers and Paranormal Warehouse working with us that aren't cheap, but it's going to run smoothly. It's going to run the way it's supposed to. The technical issues should be very minute now compared to everyone losing feeds. It was the past few years has apparently been a disaster as far as technical issues go. And plus, you guys are getting backing from Paranormal Warehouse, Dead Live, everyone. You're getting way more exposure and viewers. So it's totally worth it. It's not going to be a lot. But, people don't, people got to get paid,
Yes.
I mean, they have to stay up for like almost 2 days to produce this. So, our producers that are working with us, because it's going on, they start in like Egypt and New Zealand and like all those countries, and they rotate teams every 45 minutes. I think there's like 2 feeds or 3 feeds at a time, and you can choose like which region you want to watch. But it rolls from country to country to time zone to time zone to time zone. So this is going on for like almost 48 hours, a little less.
Wow.
So I feel bad that they're gonna have to stay awake and make sure everything is working properly, which but it's totally worth it. It's gonna be a great year for World's Largest Ghost Hunt. October 8th, my team's doing a little place called the Old Stone House in South Jersey. It's not super well known, but I know Daryl and Mike did a little filming there for one of their commercials. And they said it was super active. It's like a bunch of little old historic houses. There's a church and everything. Then, like I said, Sleepy Hollow Powercon on the 22nd, the Warrens Powercon on the 29th. November 9th, we have the old hospital on College Hill for the Get Haunted event. And then November 19th, my team's doing a Friendsgiving / investigation at the Hoover House out in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, which is right outside Gettysburg. Pam and Steve, they run the Battlefield Bash. They own the Hoover House as well. It's actually a beautiful bed and breakfast. You can stay there. People stay there, and they don't even know what they're getting themselves into, because people just see them on like, I guess, Airbnb or whatever and stay. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful house. It's a beautiful building. It's not like a rundown place at all. I love staying there. but a lot of people I think don't realize it's haunted. I mean, they do. They don't. They advertise. They own like little the Gettysburg Ghost Exchange store. They own that in town and everything. So it's not like they keep it secret. But some people just don't do their research to where they're like booking things. You know.
Some people don't want to do research. I've talked to people who said, "Don't tell me anything about this location." They almost want to do like they do on TV. They roll up in the car and actually be surprised at where they are. They barely want to know what state they're in.
See, I'm the opposite. I like knowing. I like going in with knowledge. I like going in with information just because I'm not sensitive. I'm not psychic. So if something comes up on my spirit box, a name or something that's relevant to the location, I'll catch it. You know what I mean? Like it won't. All right. Well, maybe that wasn't just radio static. Maybe that was like that. You know, Charles died here, so maybe that makes sense now. You know,
Yes.
there's a lot of things that you can dismiss when you don't know information. So I personally like knowing. We do have an empath on my team that usually likes going in blind, but I leave that for the people with gifts, and I'll do. My team's very skeptical, and I'm not saying we don't believe, but we're hard to impress.
That's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that.
We're very hard to impress, and I'm probably one of the worst out of all of them. Oh my god, did you see that? What? I didn't see shit. You know, like, this happened. I'm like, it's probably a mouse. Not literally, but
I've worked with people like that. One light flashes, they're in a panic. Now, if I'm shooting a video, I will show here's the REM pod going off. You can see there's nobody around the REM pod. Mm-hmm. There's no power in this room. Mm-hmm. And then I'll look at that and I'll say, okay, I can't explain that. I'll look for a ghost box or an echo box or something to open up and start asking questions. You know, who is this? What do you want? You know, the average questions.
Yeah.
I like to use multiple equipment to verify something.
Oh, absolutely. I 100% agree. I remember I was working an event at Fort Mifflin last year. We hosted
where?
Fort Mifflin in Philadelphia.
Okay.
We were hosting an event with Brian Kano, and one of the guests, I mean, if you use a REM pod, right? So you know when your REM pod's dying. Mm-hmm. It sounds like it's dying. It's like, yes. So I walk into the cell block 5 with one of the other groups, and this kid's like, and this REM pod's like, you know, and I'm like, oh, the REM pod's going crazy. I'm like, dude, the REM pod's dying. He's like, no, it's going off like crazy. I'm like, because it's dying. You know, but you have to be so careful. I just, know your equipment. I could tell when my equipment is acting up because the batteries are running low. And I mean, I tried to replace my batteries every investigation, but it's just not cheap, and I am not made of gold. So I just kind of dismiss, unless I know that I put a new battery in during that investigation, I dismiss equipment energy drains. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? I just don't pay attention to them unless I knew I just got rid of, like, put a new battery in. So
I'll comment on it, but that's it.
Yeah.
I'll point out, okay, my mail meter, the batteries just died
in it too.
They were brand new, and then I'll put on camera replacing the batteries. I said, let's see what happens now. I'm not going to start going around and running around in circles saying this is a ghost. You look at this paranormal event.
Yeah.
I'm going to put new batteries in it and see what happens.
Yep.
And see if the batteries drain again.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that's the way I do things. I usually keep several. In fact, some of the heaviest equipment I have when I go to an event is spare batteries.
Oh, yeah. I always bring them. I go to we have BJ's by us or Costco, and I'll get like the big, it's like the the bulk stores, and I'll
Yeah,
get like the
things
big
like this,
huge
in
pack of
this
the
thick.
batteries. Yeah.
That's the heaviest bag that I'll go to a place with.
Yeah.
Is all the batteries, because I like to carry 2 to 3 backup, even with the big battery packs. I like to carry 2 or 3 backups,
Yeah.
make sure they're all fully charged, and when one gets, goes down, whatever, pop another battery in it and keep going.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right, you said you wanted to go, so
Yeah, I'm
unless
gonna
you
head
have something
out.
else to say, you're
Nope.
kind of running out of gas.
I am.
It has been a real pleasure.
I thank you.
And we'll talk about giving you another September date before the big event. And feel free to invite somebody else. You don't have to tell me who it is, except right during before the show.
Yeah.
Give me a heads up of who's going to be here, so I can at least introduce them.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for having me.
And I'll be glad to run any banners you want to toss my way. All you gotta do is just send them to me on Facebook Messenger, and I'll run them up during my little halftime. And if I know something about the event, I'll say something. At least I'll throw the banner up so people can see it.
Well, that's very nice of you. Thank you so much.
So, if the show was 4 or 5 years old, I'd have to charge for it. Eventually I'll get there. Maybe by the time I'm 70, I'll be a crotchety old man sitting here trying to do a show. Say, all right, I got to charge you $5 every time I throw a banner up, but not now. The show, I just started the show in late December. In fact, my first show didn't air until January. So I'm just getting rolling. I've had pretty impressive guests so far. I've got an exciting guest next week. And I got a friend of mine going to Gettysburg. I already had him as a guest. I want to have him back after, so we can talk about Gettysburg.
Yeah.
I've already had one of the greatest experts living on Gettysburg, which is Dale Kazmarek. You ever heard of him?
No.
Ghost Research Society. Go to it's ghostresearchsociety.com, I believe. He's got a lot of videos he took at Gettysburg. He can sit there at any part of the battlefield and tell you what day was the major fighting at that spot, how the attack was, and from right there, he can show you, gesturing, this happened here, exactly where it happened in Gettysburg, and does this with no notes. He's older than I am. We're very good friends, so you might want to check out some of his videos before you go to Gettysburg.
Sounds good.
Oh, and also look up on YouTube Ghost Biker.
Okay.
She has her own team. She has a jail that she's restoring that hosts ghost hunts and other events. She does ride a motorcycle. You and her will get along fabulously. It may be the start of a nice friendship.
Yeah, definitely shoot me over the link later on.
Okay.
All
and
right.
we got Messenger opened up. We might as well sit there and talk. And I will discuss paranormal with anybody, anywhere. I'm that way. Paranormal never sleeps, is my saying.
Well, tonight is not for the paranormal, my friend.
You need to go. You need to go to bed. You got to get up.
I know. Well, thank you for having me, and it was.
Thank you for being here.
Yep.
It's a lot of fun.
Have a good night.
Anything else you want to close with?
No, I'm good. I'm feeding fast.
Good night. Sleep well.
Thank you.
And have a great day tomorrow.
Bye.
Good night.
Oh man, no, I wasn't sure how long the show was gonna run.
You popped back in.
Hi.
How did that happen?
Oh, I don't know what
I
happened.
thought I took you out.
I don't know.
I don't know. There we go. That should end. There we go. I'm by myself. Christina's been a great host. She stuck around for a long time tonight. She's got to get going or early in the morning. It is 1:38. I could end the show. Some people want to know some certain things about me. I could talk about me. I've got an interesting guest next week. She was supposed to be my first guest in the first show, Alyssa, but she had a car wreck and got delayed. So that my first show, the guest from first show, I will have next week's show. So she's going to be an exciting guest. She's done some stuff, and of course, everybody on the show's done stuff in the paranormal. But that should be an interesting interview. The next week is Bob Trzak from Chicago area. Everybody in the paranormal knows him. I've been on his show many times. He's not only doing podcasts, but he's also on live radio, and I've been on his radio shows, which went out on the air, live radio. So you really got to watch what you say there. We've had a lot of fun in the past. I remember I was doing a radio broadcast we were recording, and a good friend of mine, Richard Crow, made an appearance. We were talking about him being going to be dead a few months, and we had cookies set out, some drinks, because we were going to be there for a bit. And he showed up in spirit, checking out the cookies. Richard was like that. He's a good friend. He's the godfather of everything there was in the paranormal in Chicago. Learned a lot working from him. I helped him out with his last John Dillinger event. So Bob Trzak, 2 weeks from tonight. So look for that show to probably go into overtime. Tonight's show didn't quite fill up. So I can either end it or I can sit here and talk. But I'm doing a lot of exciting things the next few days. Next month, I will be part of a 24-hour Zoom call. So you'll see a lot of talking about that. Also, in the next month, I will be starting a YouTube show, strictly a YouTube show, where for 1 hour, I will be talking about some of the things that I've done. Because some people said, you ought to interview yourself, or you ought to be on our show. And that's what I'm going to be doing for 1 hour. Then I'll also probably do a separate show for Facebook and talk about things I've done, things I will be doing. Hopefully get a little bit of advertising there so I can at least promote some other events, kind of like I did tonight. Throwing some banners up. That's what I was talking to Christina about. She's got several events coming up. So she's probably going to slip me about 4, 5, maybe 6 banners. And I got one person's already signed up for the first Thursday in September because they've got an event coming up a week or two later. And now the world's greatest ghost hunt, the end of September. Christina will probably be sending me some banners, and I might bring her back the middle or latter part of September, and we can talk about that, the world's largest ghost hunt. So that may be something we do over at Para Awakening. I won't have to bring that up during the Zoom call, which is, if we're going to be over 24 hours, we might as well discuss stuff for 24 hours. Anyway, that's over at looking for Para Awakening with Rob Hernandez. He's a great guy. He is one of the best people I've ever seen with the ghost box. He's got years and years of paranormal experiencing. And before I put too many years and years in there, he is 10 years younger than I am, but has been in the paranormal probably in an official basis with teams longer than I have. So he's got a lot of experience under his belt. He makes ghost boxes, and we're going to be doing several things together, including, I think we got a Zoom call tomorrow night. So, which is today's the 28th. It's fixing to be the 29th, but later on tonight, the 29th. And probably he's got his Saturday night show, so I'll be there. Starts at 2 o'clock Central, so that's 3 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast. So it's kind of late if you're on the East Coast, but Rob's on the West Coast, so it's not too late. For him, it's midnight. So we usually end up stirring up something. Last night we had impromptu ghost box session, and we were doing some of his patented reverse running, scanning, and my name was mentioned several times, which can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. Nothing happened to me, so I guess it wasn't a bad thing. But I'm always getting into something, and I have found out in my experiences that the internet can be a conduit for a lot of information, like we exchanged tonight on the show with Christina. But it will be, has in the past on this show, and will be in the future on this show. But they can also come through your screen at you. So anybody that's watching a show, or live show especially, recorded not so much, because that's in the past. You never know, something might come through. But during a live show, you never know what's going to come through at you. So definitely do your little prayers, do your closing after watching a live show. If they're opening up any kind of ghost box, spirit box, echo box, etc. So just be careful, people out there, because you never know what you're going to get into. It's exciting, it's fun, and you can have some interesting experiences. And yes, I talked about the time I was grabbed out of the directory down in Sedansville, and in Cincinnati, which has been closed for a long time. And I showed you, kind of dating myself. That show aired 10, 12 years ago on Ghost Adventures when it was there. That's a formerly great location. It's been closed for quite a while now. To paranormal, they cleaned it out. The Catholic Church came in and finally cleared that out. That was an interesting place to go. Down in Sedansville. I've had adventures there, and I've had many adventures at another closed place. You want to talk about the Wax Museum in the French Quarter, the old French Quarter Wax Museum. That was the name of it. I was the last of ghost hunter to actually investigate the place. I was there all Friday night. Saturday, they were having a big farewell party for the place. All the employees and former employees were there. No real ghost hunters. And I don't believe there was an official investigation on Saturday night. They did that on Friday. And I was there and got locked into the place about 2 o'clock by myself. And I was there till 5. I was there for 2 hours with no human contact, locked in a rather large wax museum with the lights shut down. Had nothing but my paranormal lighting, and I had an echo box opened up the entire time, and nothing but the paranormal lights, which I use red and green and UV and IR lighting. A lot of times I could see by using the little tiny view screen on my camcorder. It's the only way I can not misstep, and you're still going to do some misstepping, so I'd be careful. But I was locked in there by myself for over 2 hours, about 2.5 hours. And got to investigate the place from 2 to 5 alone. And then I went home. I was thoroughly exhausted because I'd been investigating with other people since 11. So I had 3 hours with people, and then 2 hours alone, and then 1 hour of teardown because I get all my equipment down. Because large location, I had equipment scattered all through the hallways. Because at the one time I used everything I had. I just walked from one to the other using it, keeping the echo box, which is, some people don't like it. It's a phone app, but it's basically a ghost box where it's got the verbiage put in there, no full words, and it scans that verbiage. And if you get a word, full word, you gotta wonder if it's relevant or not. If you get 2 words, then you've probably got something, because there's not a full word in their scanning. And I've gotten complete sentences, names, and that's not in there. That's not in the banks. The echo box is interesting thing, $20. So that's pretty cheap to get you a paranormal device. What you need is a flashlight. My advice: use a red or green, or a combination thereof, because that's an eye thing. A white light blinds you because it closes your pupils. In the dark, you need your pupils wide open, night vision. So red light, it doesn't close. Makes your pupils open. It will not close them unless you shine a bright red light directly in them. But even then, it usually doesn't cause your pupils to close. It will cause them to open because it's got a longer wavelength. Green light has no effect on the pupil whatsoever, which is why traffic lights are red and green. They're much more visible at night because your pupils are open. So instead of going around shining a bright flashlight in everybody's room, I hate working with people who I've been in a room alone and getting results, and somebody walks in with a white flashlight, starts shining it around. I'm blinded, and ruins my investigation for another 30 minutes when my eyes readjust to the dark. So don't do that to people. Don't bring a white flashlight. Find you a red or green. You can basically I've been to Lowe's, and I hate to advertise for somebody, but buying a headlamp that's got white, red, and green. And you go around with a red or green headlamp on, you can't, especially with the green, you can see where you're going. Especially if you're looking down at the floor, watching you don't trip over a chair or falls, because you got to watch being fallen. Especially if you're in a tunnel or something, you got to worry about broken glass and et cetera, et cetera. You don't want to get hurt during an investigation. But having a red and or green headlamp or flashlight or both, especially if you got a headlamp going and maybe have one set on green, one set on red, and you're good to go. You can see anything. Once your pupils open up, you get used to the dark, which only takes about 10 to 15 minutes to adjust, depending on your age. And you can see where you're going. You can see everything you can with white light. Because if you got red and green and you're not hurting anybody else's feelings, you're not interfering with their investigation, and your pupils are wide open where you can see things you might not see if you're turning the white light on. So don't do that. Carry a red or green flashlight. Definitely get a notebook, get a pen, a pencil, maybe have a pencil sharpener in your back pocket or front pocket, whatever, your bag, in case you break your point. Have a couple of pens for backup in case they quit writing. You know how pens are nowadays. And have your legal pad and have and timestamp everything. You hear a voice, look at a clock, a watch, or whatever you got. Have a timing device, like the simple wrist, what to do. See what time it is and say it's 9:31, or like right now, my computer says it's 11:49. Timestamp the noise you heard. And if somebody makes a noise, they trip over things, said that was so-and-so over here, and they should call out, oh, that's sorry, I tripped over this chair. Or that was my stomach that growled. Or sorry, I bumped my head here on the wall. You know, whatever they did, timestamp it. And that way, when you video this, and that's another thing, definitely carry a camera. If you catch something, you want to video it, and you want that for historical things, so you can go through it piece by piece, because you never know. I've caught spirits on cameras on review that I had no idea were there when it happened, because I was dealing with one spirit in the foreground, and you look in the background of the video, and there's another spirit walking by. And I caught a full-bodied apparition like that. The most famous ghost picture of all, I mentioned it earlier, Dale Kaczmarek, the white lady on stone in Bachelor's Grove. She was taking it was infrared film in a 35 millimeter camera. And she just put the camera up, focused it, took a shot. And later on, when she got the negatives back and was looking through the photos, there was the famous White Lady on the Stone in Bachelor's Grove, which I later found out through a couple of years of research is Amelia Patrick Humphrey. The reason she's there, her firstborn daughter, who's died at 11 months and 4 days old, is buried and still buried. She was never exhumed and moved to another cemetery in Bachelor's Grove Cemetery in the Patrick plot. And people say, why in the world she buried the Patrick plot? Well, she married John Humphrey in 1863. She got pregnant, as newlyweds tend to do, and had a baby pretty quickly on. She named the baby Libby May Humphrey. Libby May Humphrey died at 11 months and 4 days old. John Humphrey had created Orland Park. Without John Humphrey, Orland Park doesn't exist today. He's the one that put the railroad there, and he incorporated the town and served as the mayor there for a while. Of course, served as mayor, created the town. Of course, if you're going to create a town, be mayor for a while. But their cemetery was not ready for burial until 1869. And that's why Amelia's next child, which died in 1970, was buried in their family plot that they purchased in that cemetery. Because they were ready for burial in 1870, but Libby May died in 1865, which is 4 years before they were accepting burials in Orland Park. So they buried her in the Patrick plot, which is the second largest plot in Bachelor's Grove. There was anywhere, depending on who you talk to, 5 to 7 family members, cousins and uncles and aunts from her mother's side. And that's why Amelia was going there in the cemetery. She actually appeared on the stone in her wedding dress. I found this out by finding the picture of her wedding day and compared it to the picture on the stone. And there it was. Same person, same hairstyle, same dress. You look carefully, it's the same dress. She was wearing her wedding dress that day that Judy Huff took her picture. And I'm not showing those pictures because I've got a show here. I'm pretty sure Dale wouldn't scream at me. He doesn't scream at Google. You can go Google that picture. The ghost on the stone, the white lady on the stone from Bachelor's Grove, or they're just a ghost photo and Google will show it to you. So, but Dale and Judy own co-copyright on that photo. Theoretically shouldn't be showing, but what are you going to do? Sue Google? That would be expensive. But anyway, here's some few advice to some young ghost hunters. Use red green flashlights. Carry a pen and pencil. When you can, get a camera. If not, just use your phone. One word of advice: if you're going to use flash, say flash a second or two before you take the photo. That way people can at least close their eyes or put their hand over their eyes so they're not blinded by the flash. Just be nice to your co-ghost hunters. That's how you work with people. That's how you get along. And next thing you know, you've got a team and you're going to places, sharing the expenses, which makes it cheaper to go in some really nice places and gives you a more professional attitude instead of sitting there quarreling and end up splitting off. So the key to paranormal, everybody talks about pure unity, which is, I think, is an impossible goal, but the dream is for everybody to get along and share information. I've been attacked because I was giving information to people and other people want to charge for that information by people who just want to make money. As long as you've got people wanting to put money in their pocket, not in a location. I've got nothing against people who own a location and putting the money back into that location that you give them to investigate the place. That's the way it should be. If somebody owns a house, they got property taxes to pay. They've got to keep the outside painted. They've got to keep the inside relatively clean. You've got maintenance. You got if it's got electricity, you've got a power bill to pay for. If you've got gas heat, you've got a gas bill to pay for. So I can't blame anybody who owns a location charging. I have no problems with that. Problem I have is when you want to go to a public location that you're not having to pay for, and then charging somebody $50 just to give them some information that you could come on social media and give them for free. That's paranormal unity, because I just don't think people should cram money in their pockets, especially when they're not spending the money immediately on a site. Just a personal opinion. But that, you got egos, you got profits, that gets in the way of paranormal unity. That's why I don't think it'll ever work. Because egos, you got people who are so self-centered they don't want to work with anybody, or only want to work with one or two other people. And if they don't want to give you information, or all they want to do is sit there, go to a Powercon and get their airfare, get a fee, and charge you money, or you're either paying money for the event or you're paying extra money for the speech, and they give you a 1 hour presentation of stuff you've already seen on TV and some of their outlook. I appeared on this TV show for 2 minutes. How long ago was the show? The show aired about 15 years ago. And you're still at this Powercon. Why? What have you done? Well, I really hadn't been ghost hunting for about 5 years. Okay. I've got more media experience than you have, because I was on a ghost hunt last month, and I've done 20 ghost hunts so far this year, and you've done 0 in 5 years. Who should be listening to who here? That's why paranormal unity will always struggle. I'm all behind it, but I'm like your skeptic ghost hunter. I know it's there, but I'm going to find any reason why this is not paranormal and leave it. As Mr. Spock said on Star Trek, if you eliminate what's known, or eliminate everything that's possible, then the alternative, however improbable, must be the truth. And that's the way I go ghost hunting. I try to eliminate everything. I've had tappings at the window here behind me. And I was just outside yesterday, working outside that window, and there was nothing. That's where my propane gas, and it's where my septic tank is. There is not anything green within 15 feet of this window. And I live in the woods. I own the 4 acres here. I got an acre out front. I got 3 acres in the back. Nobody, and the house is pretty much in the center of the lot, especially with this end of the house anyway. And nobody's going to come over here and tap on my window in the middle of the show, mainly because everybody in this neighborhood has a gun, and the show starts at 10 o'clock local time, which means nobody, even in the city, is going to tap on anybody's window at 10 o'clock at night. Not unless you're a bunch of kids and you're slipping out of the house. Here, there's no real kids living in this neighborhood, and everybody has a gun, and everybody knows better than to go start knocking on a window, especially in a darkened room, because the only light here, the only way you can see me is the light coming off the screen. I have ultraviolet lights overhead, and you see behind me, this infrared light is basically that. The camera seems to be picking up some infrared. I don't know if that's a part of this camera or not, but I bought it. But if I turn around and look outside of the screen, this is all dark behind me. But it shows up on the screen as pink. It looks like a little infrared light with some UV mixed in it. Of course, I don't object with COVID going around. a good UV bath is not a bad thing. And I was out about that. I was at doctor's office today. Anyway, that's it about me. I didn't really share any funny bits there, just sharing some information. And it is now time to close the show. So I'll see you next week. I said the next 2 weeks I've booked. Now I've got some vacancies in May. If anybody wants to come on the show, be a guest, give me a heads up on Facebook, on Messenger. If anybody wants to guest on their show, I've got time. I'm retired, so I don't have money, but I got time. So, if I'm always glad and happy to talk about the paranormal. I don't usually stutter and stammer like I'm doing right now. I usually talk about funny things, but I'm not really going into it right now because I'm saving that material probably for YouTube and Facebook shows. Right now I'm on both, on WLFE-DB. So be sure and go to them. If you are watching this on YouTube, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up because it helps out, because I would love to get this channel on YouTube monetized. If you're watching on Facebook, I did send it instead of my regular Facebook page. I am sending it now to the Southern Fried Paranormal page. I will be sending, if I do the Facebook Live on just a 1 hour show on another night, I will be sending it to the Sea Arc page. So it'll be a different page. You can do that. I've got it on the StreamYard, a great program. It allows me to send it either to my main Facebook page, or I can send it to, like this is, Southern Fried Paranormal Podcast on that page, or like I will be sending Facebook Live. When I go live by myself for an hour, I'll be sending it to the CARC PS, which stands for Southeast Arkansas Paranormal Society. And yes, that's me. And that's what I'll be doing. And they will both be sent to my YouTube page, which is CARC PS Lynn Dorman. They will not be sent to WLFE. I've only got the 1 2 hour show on Thursdays. WLFE, I'm not planning on leaving them anytime soon. So as long as Ted is willing to put up with my shenanigans, I am willing to put up with him. He is a great guy. WLFE has a lot of good shows. And one reason I moved it was because of, one, internet speed. I have better connection late at night than do in the early evening. And two, if I go over, I'm not stomping on somebody else's show of the network, because nobody cranks up a show at 1 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast, which is where WLFE is based. So that's the network. I've given them plenty of airtime. Bones, get us out of here. Good night.
Thanks for watching our show. Be sure to tune in to next week as once again we journey way down south into Bayou Country for another heaping portion of Southern Fried Paranormal with Lynn Dorman and Bones. Make sure to like, share, and follow. Y'all come back now. You hear?